Good morning, folks. Grab that cup of coffee, settle into your favorite chair, and let's get those memory gears turning. It's Pop Pop here, and I'm ready to take us on a wonderful little trip down memory lane. We're going back to a time before that big glass screen dominated the living room, back to when the theater of your mind was the only stage that mattered. Today, we're talking about the lost art of the radio serial, the voices of the golden age. Now, listen closely, because this isn't just a simple story. It's a workout for that sharp mind of yours, a proper brain prime. Pay attention to the little details, the names, the times, and the sounds, because at the end of our time together, I've got 5 quick questions to see just how sharp as a tack you truly are. It's all in good fun. And it's the best way to keep that old thinker humming. Ah, the radio. My goodness, what a simple, beautiful invention it was. It wasn't just a box. It was the entire world packed into a mahogany cabinet glowing softly in the twilight. Before television became the babysitter and the headline maker, the radio was everything. It was the news, the music, and most importantly, it was the entertainment, especially those thrilling, captivating radio serials. If you grew up when I did, you know exactly what I mean. The dinner, or rather the evening meal, would be done, the dishes cleared, and we'd all gather around the radio. It was a family ritual. No one was scrolling. No one was talking over the story. You had to sit and listen, truly listen, because if you missed one sound effect, a creaking door, a galloping horse, the opening of a squeaky safe, you might miss the whole twist. Think about it. 5 nights a week, sometimes 7, you'd tune in at the exact same time. It was appointment listening. You couldn't pause it. You couldn't rewind it. If the phone rang or your brother started causing a ruckus, you'd miss a vital clue. That made it special. It was fleeting, like a beautiful sunset you had to witness right then and there. The sheer variety was amazing. You had your crime fighters, the ones who taught us about justice and how a good heart always prevails. There was the shadow, with that deep, mysterious voice that could send a shiver right up your spine, always asking, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? And only the shadow knew. And then there was the Green Hornet, with his faithful sidekick, Cato, whose real identity remained a mystery to the public for ages. These shows were more than just entertainment. They were morality plays. But it wasn't all dark alleys and detective work. My goodness, the comedies. They were the ones that made the evenings bright. The Jack Benny program was a classic. Jack Benny played a hilariously stingy version of himself, and his supporting cast, especially Rochester, was just brilliant. The sound of his Maxwell car sputtering and struggling to start became an iconic sound effect, a signature laugh inducer. You didn't see the car, but you could hear every cough and sputter perfectly in your mind. And then we had the family sagas. These were the true serials, the ones that kept us hooked day after day. They called them soap operas for a reason, because the early ones were often sponsored by soap companies, trying to reach the homemakers who were listening in the middle of the day while they were preparing the midday meal. Shows like The Romance of Helen Trent or Ma Perkins kept millions enthralled. Helen Trent, bless her heart, was always proving that romance can live on at 35 and beyond. They gave people something to talk about over the backyard fence, shared dramas that made our own troubles seem a little less heavy. You know, the actors and the sound effects artists, the Foley artists, were the unsung heroes of this golden age. They had to paint a picture with only sound. Imagine the sound crew. They didn't have digital tracks. They had real physical objects. They'd use two coconut halves clapped together for a horse galloping or crumpled cellophane right next to the microphone to sound like crackling fire. I once read about a show where they needed the sound of a man falling down a flight of stairs. Did they drop a dummy? No. They used a big wooden box filled with old shoes and bowling pins, tilted and rolled it, and voila! Instant, believable tumbling sound. The human voice, too, was a massive part of the magic. Orson Welles, before he made his mark in movies, was a huge star on the radio. He was the voice of the shadow for a time, and his voice could command attention like nobody else. But he's most famous for that 1938 broadcast of The War of the Worlds. My goodness, that caused a national panic. It was done in the format of news bulletins, and so many people missed the initial disclaimer that they truly believed Martians had landed in New Jersey. It's a perfect example of the incredible power that those simple radio waves had over the American public. They trusted that voice coming out of the box. The radio serial was all about imagination. Television gives you the image. Radio forces you to create it. The hero could look exactly like your favorite uncle, or the haunted mansion could look exactly like that spooky old house down the street. It was a deeply personal form of entertainment. Every listener was the director, the set designer, and the costume artist of the show, all in their own mind. It's a lost art, folks, a truly lost art. But the power of a great story told well, that never fades. The voices of those Golden Age actors are still floating out there somewhere, if you know where to listen. All right, that was a wonderful walk back in time. Now it's time to shift those memory gears into high drive for your brain prime. Here are 5 questions based on the details we just covered. Don't peek. Just sit back, relax, and let that fantastic memory of yours do the work. Brain Prime 5-question quiz. 1. What was the popular radio show that featured the sputtering and struggling sound of a Maxwell car? 2. What was the iconic question asked by the mysterious crime fighter, The Shadow? 3. Besides being entertainment, what did suggest the crime-fighting radio shows served as? 4. What specific type of household product sponsored the early daytime radio serials, giving them their nickname? 5. What famous actor was responsible for the 1938 radio broadcast that caused a national panic by sounding like news bulletins? How'd you do? Did you get all 5? If you did, you've got a mind as sharp as a tack. You were paying attention to every little detail, and that's wonderful. If you didn't quite catch them all, don't you worry about it for a minute. Maybe you were busy prepping your own breakfast. You did great just by trying. That's the most important thing. Try listening again tomorrow, and those details will stick like glue. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, do Pop a big favor and hit that subscribe button right now, and ring that little bell so you never miss our morning or evening meal of nostalgia. Join me this evening, where we'll be talking about bite-sized 1950s when apples were antidotes. It's a sweet story about simple pleasures. Until then, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones, and keep those beautiful memories close. Bye-bye for now, and may God bless you.